Welcome back, this is Mike with RPQ. It's May 16th, 2022, Monday. Let's do a market update. All right, so we saw a major snapback on Thursday and we got a bit of a follow-up, right? But it's striking down again, and there's really nothing unusual about it, nothing unnatural about it. We see these things all the time. If you snap back to here, let's scroll over here, right, and zoom in here. And you see that, right? There's this basically similar price formation, and then there wasn't actually as much follow-up as we had this time. See that? And then it worked its way higher. That doesn't necessarily mean this is exactly what's going to happen this time, right? We might get something a lot more complicated like this, right? So we'll see, right? I mean, we've been spending a few months now correcting, and we're now getting close to territory where, I mean, you know, the longest bearish phase in the crypto market lasts around a year. So, you know, we're halfway there, but I mean, you know, it's there's no time on it, of course, right? But we've spent quite a bit of time, so it wouldn't be unnatural to see a bit of upside action for a change. I mean, because except for some of these bounces here, we haven't gotten a bid for like going on half a year now. So, all right, so that's Bitcoin. Why did it bounce there, by the way? Yeah, it looks kind of strange, right? It makes all sense if you start looking at the overall market. This is everything combined, right? This is Bitcoin along with Ethereum and the altcoin market. So it lines up fairly well. If you're looking at actually just Ethereum and the altcoin market, that lines up very nicely, right? This long-term support here. So that, I mean, did it happen to happen here? Did it have to happen here? Of course not, but it did, and I always anticipated that there probably would be some support. But again, it doesn't mean we're gonna hold there and not continue lower. It's quite a possibility. And I do actually have a pertinent theory in that respect. So if we're looking at the MVRV score, right, market value, realized value, and it's a Z-scoring mechanism. And Z-scoring basically giving you like an idea in terms of the outliers, right? How do you place in terms of standard deviations? So these are basically standard deviations, right? And if we're getting below zero, right, which we're like probably at the zero mark here now, right? Where are we? 0.37, and we're dipping below here, right, into negative. Well, actually, this is single digits. A second here. Oh, let me see. That's a score of 1.6. Oh, okay, because I'm in the price section. Okay, but back here, it would have been minus. Yeah, exactly. So if we're dipping into minus territory, and let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see this better. This might actually finally put a nail into this whole thing, and that's exactly what we want to see, but we're still ways away, right? I mean, see here, that was very close. We're dipping, about here, similar reading, but there was quite a bit of follow-up then. And this also plays into, let me find this other chart. No, this is not the one. This is not the one. This is actually kind of interesting. I had this open. I've shown this yesterday to my altcoin mastermind guys. This is kind of percent of addresses in profit. Yeah, not, we're still actually, believe it or not, we're way over 50% of addresses. Normally we see a bounce below, like 40%-ish. That's where we usually see a bounce. And yeah, we're not there yet. And that brings me to this measure right here. No, not that one. That's actually interesting as well, actually. Not that I mentioned it. This was quite a wipeout, and you can see, right, we have seen wipeouts like this before, right here. See that? And that was kind of the end of this particular correction. But then we saw a wipeout like this right here, similar magnitude actually. And that was some follow-up, okay? And that's why I was thinking it's quite possible that we see follow-up. Quite possible. Because I have this hypothesis, I have this theory, I had this ongoing theory for a while now that this is all one correction. This is all one correction because when you look at, I'm trying to find this chart here that I'm trying to hunt down here. Give me a second, guys. There it is. Yeah, entity-adjusted dormancy flow. Basically, this relates to the age of the coins that are being moved on the chain, right? So it's kind of inversely to what we just saw, right? People putting stuff on the chain, and the younger the coins are, the more bearish is basically sentiment. And boy, can I speak about the sentiment? Let me kind of, I want to share that with you guys. I was on Reddit this morning slabbing it, you know. And these guys, I think it's just even a week or two ago, I just saw nothing but, oh, I'm DCAing, you know, I've been doing this for years, no problem, you know, this is nothing. I love to dip, you know, bring it on, right? And everyone was buying. I mean, the sentiment has completely changed. You know, the hodlers are, I mean, they're just running around with the tails between their legs, and sentiment is horrible. I mean, I saw literally a thread in a well-visited and upvoted thread on Reddit today. Reddit subreddit was cryptocurrencies from all places. Not that's this other one, what's it called? Unpopular opinion. Not on unpopular opinion. It was actually on cryptocurrencies, and it was basically, you know, what utility does crypto have anyway? Oh yeah, you're asking yourself that now? I mean, it's kind of interesting. But it really kind of, it shows the sentiment has gone extremely bearish all of a sudden. I mean, it's almost flipped inversely. It's strange. It's really strange. I've rarely seen such a rapid change in sentiment, because, I mean, it was just consistently throughout this entire thread. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of comments. Everyone was just basically, looked like they've been given up. Which is great. I mean, this is awesome, because this is exactly what I want to see, because that's usually what we see at you know, the end of a bearish phase. No guarantees, of course, right? But it's definitely, it's getting now at least to the point where people are actually talking bearish, whereas before they weren't. And that's usually very dangerous, because in many cases that means there's more downside ahead, right? So we'll see what happens, but I just want to share that with you. I mean, it's just across the board, people were just discouraged, disgusted, ready to throw in the towel, and that's very positive, because it's exactly what we saw in 2014, 2017, and 18, and you know, and not even so much last year. Actually, last year was quite mild in comparison, so this is actually quite good. And can you only imagine if we're dropping a little bit more? You know, how would sentiment be? I mean, people are gonna. Yeah, there was literally a suicide hotline on Reddit. Don't laugh. People are really, you know, some people have been psychologically affected by this. So, you know, it's not funny at all. I'm smiling because I just found it. I always find it interesting that people would expose themselves to that extent, that they even would carry such thought. But that's just me. Anyway, so I just want to bring this up. I had this ongoing theory for a long time now. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. See that this is all the same correction. And why do I think this? Well, because I've seen this anomaly here across the board, right? Where like, you know, if you think about this, what is this? You know, the age of coin, the average age of the coins, you know, that are moved on the chain. And I mean, we were nowhere near any extremes where this should have happened. Here you can argue, right? Here you can argue as well, right? But here, down here, why? So my thinking has always been, and that's something I kind of borrowed from my wave wanking days, you know, when I was counting waves. I know, guilty as charged, you know, way back, right? My defense, like what, 15 years back. We would label as something like a sideways correction, right? And it's probably going to end up being something like that. That's how I see it, right? I mean, this is really, and if it is that, right, and it is very comparable with this big correction here, right, in terms of time frame, and that would be an extremely actually. I know you don't want to hear this, and I'm not a bull tart, but this would be extremely positive. Why? Because, I mean, this correction was going down. This correction goes more or less sideways, as opposed to it's, you know, the center of it, right? Here we just were working our way down, you know, followed by the final finale, and then, you know, a little bit of encore, boom, and then you know, we recovered, and there was even a little scare in between, just to kind of stick into the hornet's nest one more time before then, you know, everyone got shaken out. So anyway, I just want to share that with you. We're getting now down here in the signal to a range where we could see a meaningful bounce, right? But, you know, let's look at NinjaTrader and see what our charts say over there. Okay, here's Bitcoin USD on NinjaTrader. I'm running 3 indicators here. Net lines, which are defined by a sequence of higher highs or a sequence of lower lows, and it gives us basic resistance and support levels. We also have micro gaps, which are indicated by these, you know, small blue arrows here. And then we have, last but not least, we have the Kalman filters. And we've got you two of them. One is the 50, one is the 20. I implemented that indicator a few years back, and I just brought it back from the dead because I actually had no access to my code because I swapped to M1. So, on my OS X, and I just had to port all that back over on my VPS, and it's working, and I'm super happy because it's giving us, I had no idea how great it actually would work on crypto, and it's just fantastic. And where was this thing weeks ago? You really used it. Anyway, we have it now, and what it's showing us right now, it's starting with the Kalmans, right? They were popping up a little bit, but now they're falling back down again because this candle is kind of ruining the party. So we don't have any changes in the trend here. We're still in bearish trend. We also haven't gotten even close to that buy level here, 32,645 and 49 cents. So, okay, almost. So that is basically the first line of defense. We haven't even gotten close, and we're falling back. So this was a fairly standard bounce. Nothing really to write home about. And yeah, if we're dropping below probably this one here, we don't have any net lines right now, but what is the low here? Let me read it. That is, let me lean over here, 28,564, I think. Yeah, if you're dropping back below that, we might see more ugliness. Right? Let's go to Ethereum. And we see a very similar picture. And here actually the first net line is even higher. It's at 2,458 in a few cents. So yeah, this actually looks still even more bearish. We haven't even seen it swing up very much. So Ethereum is weaker this week, and we actually switched over from Ethereum back into Bitcoin this week. We had to because it keeps losing against Bitcoin right now. So it's kind of a tucky turn going on. 1 week Ethereum is stronger, then Bitcoin is stronger. Right now Bitcoin seems to be quite a bit stronger. Let's real quick, I want to show you Litecoin as well. I don't have too many symbols here on this Coinbase feed, but what I have, I want to show you. Let me move this up. 1 second, guys. It's a little bit too tall. Okay. All right. It's a little bit slow everything here because it's on a VPS. Okay, so that's Litecoin. Miles away from the next buy level, so don't even think about it. This is quite weak still. Okay, stay on ADA, right? And then we got Doge. Funny, actually, it's on here on Ninja Trade. It's actually Dog, D-O-G. It looks pretty doggy. It looks pretty shitty right now. Next buy level is way up here, 0.1183. Not good. Monero. Yeah. Wow. Actually, Monero just one candle. I guess they just start feeding this one. Okay. Weird. And then Solana, well, you can imagine how that one looks. So not pretty at all. All right. So let's go back to Bitcoin, and then let's go over to the 120 minutes. So give you a little bit more detail here. Oh, sorry. I did it on the wrong thing. 1 second, guys. Need to fix something here. Let me pause. Okay, so right down here, Bitcoin USD, 120-minute chart. Of course, we got a little bit more details here, a little bit more detail. And here, that bounce really, it got the Kalmans to flip to short term, and it looked pretty good. Then it flipped back below, and here it flipped back above for a while. So it's kind of, playing tucky turn here. Back and forth. Now it's back in bearish mode on 120, and it never really. There's a net line here that was just produced. Net line buy loads. Here's a second one, but it never even got close to that. So we haven't overcome any net line buy levels here except for an early one here. Right, there was one here that was breached. There was one that was breached but reversed. Then we breached it here. So last week we did overcome some net lines, and that looked pretty good. But then we kind of gone basically sideways since then on on Bitcoin. I mean, look at this, right? We haven't really done very much since here, right? I mean, since the 13th, and today's the 16th. So for the last 3 days, we haven't really done much. See, so that that shows us a lot more details here. And this is kind of flipping up and back and down. And normally the trend is pretty well shown by those Kalmans. And right now nothing's really clear here at all. And we're basically here in bearish mode. We're dancing here on a neckline sell level. And if we breach below, we might see more downside. So it's not looking good here at all. And it's probably looking worse over here in Ethereum. So let's take a look at that. Okay, well, actually looks almost the same. So, you know, again, kissed the neckline sell level here, bounce back a little bit, but it all looks weak. You know, there's no meat into it. The most action we saw here, you know, when it bounced back here on Thursday, right? This was the Thursday action going into Friday, and Saturday, Sunday was just going, you know, phoning it in for 2 days, and now it's drawing back down again. So I don't see any net lines being broken here, anything of value, anything we can hang our heads on. I see a net lines being touched a lot. Here was one actually breached. Actually, that's something I probably should point out right away. That's very important, right? Net lines being breached on a downside. So that leads us to here now. And yeah, it's. I think we might see more downside. We might see a retest down here, right? So yeah, that's that. That's all I got for today. See you guys next time.